Hey, sixth grade. Hope you guys are hanging in there. This video is for Wednesday, March 25th. Remember that if you're watching this in the morning, someone from the middle school team will be on Facebook Live at noon. We would love to say hi, see how you guys are doing, and chat if you're around. So let us know how you're doing. Okay, so as you get started on today's lesson, normally on Wednesday we would do a practice spelling test, but because we're on learn from home mode right now, we will not do that test today. I do encourage you to keep working through Unit 26, the words for List 26. So today you're going to do some proofreading. If you're on that third page of the lesson, you'll go through some of the words, notice which ones are misspelled. It's a multiple choice film, the bubble kind of situation. And but do get ready because we will take the spelling test together on Friday. I will read you the list and then you will take the test on a blank piece of paper at your house. You can pause if I go too fast. And then when you get to the end, you'll use your spelling book to grade your own work. Some people have been asking, do you need to submit work to me? No, there is no requirement right now, at least, that you turn any of this into me from home. But I am asking that you save everything you're doing. So any worksheets you do, your spelling tests, anything from any of the books, keep all of that together. And when we do finally get to come back together, whatever that looks like, I will go through it to kind of see where you're at and what's working for you and what we need to keep working on. So yeah, get ready. We'll do that spelling test on Friday. Again, it won't be counted as a grade, but we do want you to stay in practice with what we're doing. And it's good, I think, for you to notice how you're doing and what words work for you and what you need more practice with. As we move on from birds, we've had a few days of bird lessons in your reading unit. Today you're going to do something a little bit different. They've given you an article to read about non-print media. What does that mean? Well, non-print media are other ways of learning about a subject or doing research besides something that you would get in print. So besides an article or a book, magazine, encyclopedia, those are kind of the first things that your mind might go to when you think about doing research. But actually, you will find that when you visit a library or when you begin to look, especially in like academic libraries in a university setting, like where my husband works, books and encyclopedias and articles and magazines are not the only resources that you will see there. So other examples that you might see, things like realia, which means real objects. So we've been learning a lot about birds. Maybe you would go to a museum and you would see actual examples of different kinds of either taxidermied birds or bird's nest or bird egg samples that are there. You might see historical items, things like costumes or clothes from certain periods of time. There are other kinds of non-print media, which would be videos or sound recordings. Particularly if you were doing something about bird, you might listen to a recording of someone playing different kinds of bird calls, so that not only could you read about that, but you could also hear it for yourself and begin to describe it as a person who has themselves heard it and not just basing your description on things that you've read. So this is generally what you're going to read about when you read about non-print media, and then they're going to give you the opportunity in your work textbook to sort of think about different objects you might encounter and what kind of non-print media there are. I did want to help you on page 186. They ask you to think about some of the stories that we've read and what kind of non-print media might be helpful if you were going to do more research or write more about those. So a couple of these we did not actually read together. We did read Blotto. We did not that was about the bear. We did not read Medieval Night. Well, we started it, but you were supposed to read it independently on your own, and some people didn't have time that day. So I'll fill in that one for you. I would say some non-print media. If you were learning about knights, you might go and look at swords or helmets or maybe pictures of what medieval knights wore and how they lived. We did Oliver Twist, of course, The Open Road, Worth More Than Sparrows. You guys did these two just recently at home. Feathers in the Wind was the story about the boy whose parents passed away and he went to live with his grandfather on a reservation. The Peterkins, of course, was a funny story, The Pied Piper. And then Sir Alexander Fleming, we missed that one. But that's talking about, he was a famous scientist. So if you were going to look at non-print media from his life, you might look at scientific objects like petri dishes or a microscope with slides. And then Call It Courage was about sharks. So maybe you would put in something here, a video about sharks or something like that. So hopefully that's helpful to you. The rest of the blanks you should be able to fill in on your own based on the stories that we've read. Feel free to flip back to those in your reading book. And if any of that is confusing or you get started on it and you realize you want help, please, please, please email me. I'm so happy to hear from you. It's been fun to get notes from those of you who have already reached out. My email address, again, is lsmallwood@mylegacyschool.com. And you can take a picture of what you're working on and send it to me, and I can give you feedback or help you fill in blanks. We can do it that way, or you can just tell me what it is you're confused about, and we can chat more. Finally, today in writing and grammar, yesterday you started on prepositional phrases. And remember that prepositional phrases talk about relationships. So they're helping us understand how things relate to each other in the sentence. Yesterday we looked at how they modify nouns and pronouns. And today you're going to look at prepositional phrases that modify verbs. So if we talk about the dog moved onto the rug, that onto the rug is a prepositional phrase that is describing how the dog moved or where he moved. In your guided practice here, number 1 says, some insects sneaked into our house. So, of course, you would want to underline sneaked because that's telling you, that's the verb that into our house is talking about. That's the prepositional phrase in parentheses. And they've put those prepositional phrases in parentheses for you. You don't have to find those at first. You just look for the verb in these first ones. These creatures lived on our scraps. So again, the prepositional phrase in parentheses, on our scraps. And what is on our scraps talking about? Well, it's how they lived, the verb, and that's what you would underline. So as you go through these, you're going to want to underline that verb, and then on the bottom, they're going to ask you to write your own prepositional phrases to fill in the sentences. Again, if you have any questions, email me. I'd love to talk more. Hope you guys are hanging in there. See you tomorrow.